Back in 2019, I received a Facebook message from my uncle who lives in California. I tend to only get messages when he promotes music he's working on and never to have an actual conversation. This message affected me in a way where I was frustrated and felt the need to resolve this conflict after having bottled it up inside for more than a year. I decided enough was enough, so I called and asked him to stop sending me these messages, which resulted in the two of us having a falling out. During our conversation, what stood out was him mentioning he could see within me a negative reflection of my father. This made me realize that my uncle, after having a broken relationship with my father, still held resentment toward him after his passing, and that resentment was manifested in our relationship by being his son. I was left with this feeling of powerlessness to change what had just happened between us, and the feelings I harbored in wanting us to connect would go completely unanswered. This initial exchange was left at that. I felt defeated by this experience, but I continued to challenge myself by doing activities as well as striving to do my best at work and enrolling in college and continuing my Buddhist practice. 1 year later, I would call my uncle after discovering my older brother had passed away. My brother was someone who I never met in person, but we always kept in touch over the years and had a close relationship of unconditional love. As such, I was heartbroken by the news of his passing. I decided to call to see what caused his death since they had a close relationship. I could tell right away my uncle was still not comfortable speaking with me and felt the conversation to be awkward. But I believe this interaction marked a starting point in fixing our broken relationship. In addition to chanting about this situation and listening to the New Human Revolution audiobook series at work, a few weeks later I had the sudden urge to reach out to my uncle. In hearing Ikeda Sensei's guidance about the connections and bonds of family as well as the relationships within our organization that laid the foundation of what we have in our practice today, I wanted to use this guidance to transform the relationship with my uncle. In essence, through my practice, taking action and Buddhist study, I was able to gain the wisdom to see and appreciate the bonds and connections with those in my environment and to reach out to my uncle in an effort to learn more about my family foundation. Through this effort, I could clearly experience putting the teachings of my mentor in the New Human Revolution into action and infusing my life with unseen wisdom and benefits that would take root at my core. To my surprise, my uncle was more than happy to enlighten my curiosity and wanting to know more about my family background. But I was confident that this was due to my own human revolution and determination in prayer. I believe this event is what sparked the change in our relationship, which led to my uncle calling me after getting off the phone with his lawyer and asked for my contact information while walking me through how he wanted his estate and legacy handled after his passing. At first, I was confused, and he mentioned, "When the day comes for my inevitable departure, I would like to leave everything I have, including our family legacy, to you." His words brought me to tears, for I never imagined getting this sort of call from him, given how angry he was previously, and those feelings had somehow miraculously changed, though I know that this was only due to the fact that I had changed by doing my human revolution. Ikeda Sensei shares, "It is in the ocean of dialogue that a person can become truly human. Dialogue is an epic challenge which first requires you to change yourself rather than trying to change others." My uncle mentioned that he had been watching my development over the years, and knowing that I had lost my mother, who I depended on my whole life, must have been so difficult for me. But now I had taken full responsibility for my life, and my uncle was moved by how I developed my character despite everything I had gone through. For example, right around the start of COVID-19 pandemic, I manifested my first full-time job, which not only helped me to avoid being homeless at a crucial moment when I had almost no money left in my bank account, but this job provided me with unlimited overtime hours that paid me the precise dollar amount I had previously chanted for after 6 months in activities at the Miami Buddhist Center, engaging in discussion meetings and studying various books on Buddhism. Fast forward to my life now, I received a promotion at my job and just recently graduated as a straight A student in college and am currently in pursuit of my career in the film industry. My uncle had been aware of everything and told me he felt the changes I had undergone in less than a year were phenomenal, which was why he wanted to leave everything in my hands because I was showing him through my actions that I was trying to make something of my life. I would also like to mention that this particular phone call I received from my uncle happened as a benefit after having just started doing a sustaining contribution, and I just recently took part in the May contribution out of gratitude. I found everything about this encounter with my uncle to be so amazing, especially since back when we originally had conflict, I had felt the need to confront him out of a desire of genuinely wanting to connect with him. And never did I imagine those very circumstances would manifest years later in such an incredible way, which was all the result of my Buddhist practice and study. And of course, the many members within our organization, especially those in the youth division, who have chanted for and supported me every step of the way. I have no doubt that my efforts in faith have helped fix the broken relationship between both my uncle and father, acting as a bridge repairing what had been destroyed between them, since I am my father's son, and in the same way my uncle saw within me a reflection of my father in a way that brought about feelings of hatred and animosity. I know for sure now that my uncle is able to see my father in a much better light, for whatever he sees in me is ultimately a reflection of him, since I would not exist without him. Based on my uncle's words to me on this day, I know this is the case. My determination moving forward is to continue to stay connected to my uncle and continue to strive to be a pillar of Kosen Rufo for my entire family and those in my district.